Hello and welcome to another Betfred Sports video right here in the Quest Media Network studio. Peter, it's a big one at Old Trafford tomorrow night, the Super League Grand Final, Catalans Dragons v St Helens. I can't wait for it.
Well, it should be a tremendous occasion. I'm not saying there's going to be a capacity crowd, but because the fact is that the Catalans come from France and there's restrictions still on their travel, but there will be one tremendous atmosphere. I spoke to Paul Sculthorpe, and I know that he's on later, and he was saying that it's St Helens against the world. Everybody who's a neutral who is supporting Catalans, because they're going into this looking to achieve success for the first time in the history, whereas for St Helens it's the third year on the bounce for them to win. The Betfred odds have naturally enough Saints the outright favourites 2-5 to pick up the trophy. Catalans 13-5. Grace, the flying winger for St Helens, he's favourite to open the scoring. He's a 9-1 shot.
Do you think having a French side in rugby league is good for the sport? I mean, Paul Sculthorpe thinks it's good for the sport because they're going to expand into different countries, gives it more exposure. What do you think on the matter?
Well, I think that it does need expanding out of the M62 corridor. Maybe you'd hope for a team from Newcastle or indeed another team to emerge from the south, like London, where rugby union's more dominant. But that wasn't going to happen, so they might as well go further afield. And why not bring in the French? Because they certainly added to the game this year. I mean, Catalans Dragons surprised everybody by winning the League Leaders Shield.
Yeah, I mean, there is a bit of a risk with it though. We know what happened to Toronto Wolfpack. Do you think that risk puts clubs off in different countries?
Well, I think there's a big difference between having a team from Canada and France. There's quite easy to get to France nowadays, or there was before COVID. Canada is a distance away, isn't it?
Yeah.
But when they do play over here, they play little groups of matches, so they're not travelling too much. So they might play St Helens and then Wigan or Salford in a little group of games, and then play some home matches as well. But they really have encompassed rugby league in that part of France, and long may it continue.
There were 13,000 for that semi-final against Hull KR. I think it's 2 weeks ago now. 13,000 for rugby league in France. Fantastic support, and by all accounts it was probably one of the best atmospheres ever created.
Yeah, I mean, it does go back to the war years, the rivalry between Union and League in France. The Nazis stopped rugby league being played and made the clubs pay their money into the rugby union. So you can imagine that there's a lot of animosity still going on in that particular part of France. But they'll get about 2,000-3,000 over, and they'll get all the neutrals as well, so it should create a tremendous atmosphere.
Yeah, certainly should. So, Old Trafford, Saturday night, 9th of October, Super League Grand Final. And as we mentioned on Monday's Sports Talk, we had 5 pairs of tickets to give away for this Grand Final, and we can now announce the winners. So, congratulations to these people. Chris Manson, Andrew Atkinson, David Kenny, Rob Purvis and Shannon Matthews. Congratulations, guys. You are going to Old Trafford for the Super League Grand Final. Hope you enjoy it. So, Peter, just to elaborate on this Grand Final, which player do you think will be most influential on the evening? I mean, Jack Wellesby, youngster, scored that great try, last-minute try to win it last year. Do you think he'll be influential?
Well, I think he will. I mean, he's the great hope to emerge from the St Helens tremendous academy. I mean, that academy is like the Manchester United academy, just a conveyor belt of talent coming through. But I think it'll be the old stagers who will shine, and I particularly think that James Roby, the St Helens captain, the Gary Neville of rugby league, ultra consistent. I think he will emerge. I can see him picking up the trophy for being the man of the match.
So, like you mentioned earlier on, St Helens have the opportunity to get a hat-trick of Grand Final wins, and if they do manage it, they'll draw level with Leeds. They're the only team that have managed to do it since it was first created in 1998. How big would that be for the club St Helens if that was to happen, just for rivalry alone?
Well, I think if St Helens do it and win on tomorrow, then I think that St Helens will go down in history as the greatest ever rugby league team. I mean, it is that enormous. So it's important that they put out, or all their superstar players produce their best on the day, because if they don't, Catalans who've got emerging talent of their own, Maloney particularly, and Sam Tompkins, who's very likely to play now and to start, they will be able to take advantage of any weakness in the St Helens side.
Yeah.
But I've got to say that St Helens team is a team of superstars, and they should win. I know that Sculthorpe is saying that he thinks it'll be a 10-point victory, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So I know you've got your odds sheet there. Who's odds on, or who's favourite to score the first try?
Well, Regan Grace is the favourite. He's the Quicksilver winger for St Helens. He's 8-1. Tommy Makinson on the other flank, 9-1. Jack Wellesby, as you mentioned, he's 11-1 to score the first try. Then we go down the list, and James Roby's 25-1, Alex Walmsley 16-1, Mark Percival 12-1 to score the first try with Betfred. Of the Castellans Dragons, Sam Tompkins is 14-1. He's second favourite behind Tom Davis, who's a 12-1 shot to score the first try. And then we've got his brother Joel Tompkins, he's 33-1. Josh Drinkwater 18-1 with Betfred to score first for the Catalans. And James Maloney, fantastic player, he's been a great servant for the club. He's 25-1 like James Roby.
Excellent stuff. Now, we also have some football action this weekend. It is the World Cup qualifiers. On Saturday evening, England make the journey to Andorra. And I know, looking at the odds for this one, you know, Betfred are expecting a massive victory for England.
Well, let's put it this way. Andorra 66-1 to win. England 1-50. So I think it's pretty clear what we think. It's going to be one stomping great victory. The most common scoreline bet is 4-0 for England, which is a 9-2 shot. And if England are to beat the record or match the record, 10-0, they're 100-1 to do so. Harry Kane, naturally enough, 7-4 to score first. Tammy Abraham 5-2. Sterling, he's 8-1. And then Jack Grealish, who has gone through a little bit of a dip in form at City, he's 11-2 to score first for England. And I've got the World Cup odds.
Well,
so you might be surprised to know that England are now the third favourites, behind joint favourites France 11-2 and Brazil 11-2, of course. England 7-1, third favourites. Next on the list, Betfred have Spain 9-1, Italy, Belgium, Germany all 10-1. Argentina in at 12-1. Netherlands, who I always think could come strong again. 16-1 to win the next World Cup in Qatar, along with Portugal at the same price, 16-1.
Excellent stuff. Well, it's not just England in the World Cup qualifiers this weekend, it's also Wales. They make the journey to the Czech Republic, and Scotland are hosting Israel. Well, just in football news, the big talking point this week, Peter, got to be St James's Park, Newcastle United. The takeover has been completed, but it's been met with mixed reviews, hasn't it? And a bit of a backlash, actually, over the human rights abuses.
Yeah, well, you're dead right there. I heard the Labour leader this morning talking about that. But I remember when City were taken over, there was a similar sort of backlash because from the same part of the world with a similar record, and they're not quite as harsh in Abu Dhabi as it is in Saudi Arabia. But similar sort of issues. And but the fact is, it's gone through, it's been approved under the current legislation, and it's now time to encompass another great talent or a great club that's going to emerge, and maybe we'll be talking about the top 5 in 2 or 3 years' time, because mark my words, that is an area that's just like a giant that needs rousing again. And the fans up there are supreme, and they will get behind whatever decisions are made, which are going to grab the headlines over the next few days. I can see that Steve Bruce will be on the move, with a handsome payoff, no doubt, and then there'll be some substantial signings, just like City did. They'll be paying over the odds for superstars, like Yaya Toure, people who are going to kick-start the revival, because once they start buying 1 or 2 superb players, like Yaya Toure was, then other players will be attracted to the club, and it has a domino effect, and that's what's going to happen at Newcastle. So the first signing will be key. They'll have to get someone who fits into the way of life up there, encompasses the club, just like Yaya Toure did at City, and then they'll build from that. Don't expect great things this season, but in the summer transfer window, Sky telling everyone else will be having everybody outside that training ground.
Yeah, I mean, I think Newcastle fans will just be hoping they don't get relegated this season, but even if they did, with the money there, they come straight back up, surely.
I don't think there's much chance of that. I mean, Betfred now have Newcastle coming from 100 to 1 for a top 6 finish to 66 to 1. So we're expecting huge business during the summer.
Yeah.
They'll bring in an international renowned manager, someone like Mourinho, someone of that ilk, who knows the market. Arsene Wenger's a decent shout as well.
He is, yeah.
Managers like that. But frankly, I think they should keep with Steve Bruce because he's doing quite a good job for the time being at the very least. Give him a go.
With the money at the manager's disposal next season at St James's, I'd fancy Brendan Rodgers personally.
Yeah, well, he's another option.
Absolutely. So, like I just said then, it is the World Cup qualifiers this weekend. So, Saturday we've got England taking on Andorra. That is at Andorra. We've also got the Czech Republic hosting Wales, and Scotland are entertaining Israel. And don't forget, like we mentioned earlier, it is the Super League Grand Final, Saturday night, 6 p.m. kickoff at Old Trafford. It's Catalan's Dragons taking on St Helens. St Helens, of course, going for that hat-trick of Grand Final victories. Well, it's been great speaking to you once again, Peter. That Grand Final's got all the ingredients to be a cracker, and hopefully it lives up to expectations.
Yeah, I think it will be perhaps a little bit closer than England against Andorra.
Yeah, just a little bit.